This meeting is being recorded.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Financial Insights. I'm glad that you are with us. We have a special guest today, Crystal Evans, President and CEO of Starfish Initiative. Some of you may be aware, Starfish Initiative is dear to my heart because I was a 21st century scholar and Starfish mentors 21st century scholars. So excited to have you with us, Crystal. So we're going to jump right in. First, Crystal, just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became president and CEO to Starfish.
Well, thank you, first off, Linda, for having me. And it's a pleasure to be with you today. I am, again, Crystal Givens, and I am the president and CEO of Starfish Initiative. And my journey to get here has been pretty unique. I have a bachelor's degree in child development, and then also a master's degree in business administration from Indiana Wesleyan. And so I spent most of my career in early childhood, in making sure that families and children had access to quality childcare. And then I've always had a passion for helping young people, especially young women, young girls, to really achieve their dreams, and just being a mentor, someone that they could talk to, and sort of a coach to encourage them and help them along the way. And so I found Starfish Initiative during the pandemic, where I was looking for something and somewhere to volunteer my time. So I signed up as a volunteer and was going through the process. And then one of my mentors reached out and said that there's an opportunity for president CEO position at this organization. And to my surprise, it was Starfish Initiative. And so I initially turned it down and said I was not interested in going that route. And she came back and encouraged me, as a mentor does, and also really told me that I needed to stretch myself, and she was telling the truth, and giving me a bit of truth too about growing as a professional. So I did send my resume, and then the rest is history. I've been here at Starfish for 2 years now as the president CEO, and it is the best decision that I've made.
Good. I didn't know that story, that you actually was just going to be a volunteer and then you
Yep.
end up being the CEO. It was all aligned.
It was
See,
all aligned. Yes, it was definitely God, because it was not me. I had no desire to jump into this role.
it was all aligned. You know what? Let's talk about mentorship, because you mentioned your mentor telling you about the position
Mhm.
and stretching you. Can you talk about the importance, particularly in the nonprofit sector, for us to have mentors?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's so invaluable. And I think no matter where you are in your career, everyone needs a mentor. And some people have coaches, and I've had a coach as well. But a mentor for me I've had mentors throughout my life, whether formal or informal. And then just being able to have someone you could bounce ideas off of, celebrate successes, and then also someone to encourage you and tell you when you are, going in the wrong direction or
Mhm,
going down the wrong path. It is
mhm,
critical and vitally important, because if we're left to our own vices and ourselves, we think we're doing such a great job, and we very
mhm,
well may be, but you also need to have someone that's telling you when you're off course, and then
mhm,
celebrating you when you are doing the
mhm,
right things. And
mhm,
in the nonprofit space is so, you're wearing so many hats, no matter what role you're in. I think in a nonprofit organization, no matter how large or small, you're going to wear multiple hats, and
mhm.
it's really
Yeah.
one of those things that you need that encouragement, and that outside counsel from a mentor to help you just stay encouraged, and help you to know when you're doing the right thing, or knowing when you need to take a step back. So
Mhm,
the mentorship is invaluable.
Good point. So we started working together. I started providing accounting services to Starfish last year. And
Mhm.
so tell us about some of the challenges you were facing before start working with Insight Financial.
Yeah, so some of the challenges were just some cash flow issues, and me, number one, not having access to all the information I needed to have as the president CEO, as the leader of the organization. I am the first and last stop where the questions are going to lie, and
Mhm,
I can't use the excuse that I don't have the information. So it was really vital and critical to me to have information that I needed, about our financials whenever I needed to access them, and just having the struggles of getting access to that information, the resources and tools that I needed to get into, led me to believe and know that I need to have someone that I could partner with, and a consultant that I can partner with and trust in helping to get this organization back on track. And the way we got it back on track was through the finances first, and making sure our finances are up to speed, and that I am aware of what's going on. And I have, I provide approval. So just things were not in place, that we had accounting processes and procedures. So knowing that from close to the beginning, knowing what I needed to have in place really led me to reach out to you. And again, thanks to my coach for connecting me with you and getting those services started. So yeah, so again, it was another outside person who was my coach, who said, you can contact this person. So just really having connections and being open and willing to talk to people and being transparent, it definitely helps to get you into certain places and spaces that you will need.
Yeah, exactly. Can you talk about how we have helped Starfish just overcome some of those challenges?
Yes,
Particularly access to the information, having financial statements for the board, particularly.
And I'll even insert here also just the accounting manual, how invaluable that was. So we didn't even have a manual to say, here are our procedures. So along with an accounting manual to set some procedures and policies in place, then there was the financial statements. So knowing where we are, what surprises, we had a lot of surprises from the beginning, Linda. And then we got to a really good place where I knew, what was coming up. We set up an accounts payable process. So I knew what bills needed to be paid on each week. So just being able to say, okay, here are our financial statements. Here's what we received. Here are the reconciliations, just reconciling all of our financials on a monthly basis, and being consistent with those procedures and those steps, and knowing, again, what was spent in the month, what came in during that month. And then we could, just being able to have you reconcile those and working with you, just to ensure that, okay, we need to set up a process to do, I'll go back to the accounts payable process. So again, knowing what was due and when it was due was really helpful in making sure that, we didn't run out of cash, although there were some scary moments, just knowing what was due and when it was due and how to prioritize the bill payment process was one of the most important things. And then being able to raise those issues up to our board of directors, because they weren't always aware. They thought there was this, there wasn't much of an issue. They thought there wasn't much of an issue, but being able to say, no, here are some of the surprises that we've experienced, some of the things that we didn't plan for, but now here's a bill that we have to pay because of the negligence that we've experienced on from prior issues. So just being able to get those processes and procedures in place. When we went from having hour-long financial meetings with the finance committee to about 20 to 30 minute long finance committee meetings, because things are in order now. So that has been so helpful for me, and it has not been a stressor. So that was the main thing, taking some of these stressors off my plate by putting these processes and procedures in place.
Okay, good. Can you talk about cash flow? I talk a lot about this on my videos and social media posts, particularly for nonprofits, understanding that difference between cash and when a grant is going to be awarded. Can you talk about just how important it is you have to manage both? You look at the P&L, you look at your revenue, but talk about how, and it could be going back to our weekly cash flow, our accounts payable report, how important it is to look at cash.
Oh my goodness, it is extremely important to look at cash. And then I would add on to that, it's extremely important to have diversified funding sources too, because as nonprofit organizations, I'll speak for Starfish Initiative, we heavily rely on grants, and I am working really hard to ensure that we diversify that more, so we're not caught up and then we don't have a lot of restricted dollars. So having those restricted dollars really kind of puts us in a jam as far as cash flow is concerned. So being very strategic about those dollars that are unrestricted. So reaching out to those donors and those corporations who provide the unrestricted resources, and building that relationship will help in the long term. But cash flow is really, really critical into ensure that you have money for, our goal is to have that cash on hand for starting out 90 days, but we want to at least have it for 6 months. And so building up to that has been a huge task, because we are heavily relying on grants. So making sure that that unrestricted cash is on hand is really critical. And I veered into the development space and fundraising space, but it all works together in making sure our finances are on track. So if we have our fundraising efforts and our fundraising strategy in place to help raise not only those restricted grant dollars, but definitely the unrestricted dollars, that helps to stretch that cash out for longer lengths and longer periods of time. Because we, as a nonprofit organization, I'm always looking at the cash and what we have available on hand, and how we budgeted those dollars, especially those grant dollars, making sure that we have enough budgeted to cover our operating costs and not just the cost of the program. So how can we work with those grants to ensure that some of those costs to doing business are covered? But yes, it's critical to ensure that you're looking at that cash. And like, if you're like me, you're looking at it all the time to ensure that you can cover payroll, because I want to make sure that the team gets paid, number one, because of the work that they're doing is so critical to our success. So of course you want to compensate and fairly compensate the team. And then our other expenses, again, the cost of doing business, are covered also. So we have to be, I've had to be really, really upfront. And Linda, you really work with me on making sure the board was aware of what the definition and what the difference between the restricted and unrestricted dollars is. So just making sure everyone understands who is making decisions in the organization, and they're on the same page. It takes work, but we've slowly gotten there into that place where we know the importance of having that cash.
Yeah. Okay, good. And working together, how has life gotten easier? I know we've had our struggles. I always say, with everything's going on, where this is going to be a good book. You're eventually going to have a great TED Talk. But talk about just some of the things that has happened that just had made life easier, just working together.
Oh, for sure. And really just having that trust and trusting the expertise of Insight Financial and you, Linda, was really what made it easier for me. Yes, we had to confront a lot of issues up front, and making sure that, here's what we need to solve for. And that communication on a weekly basis was really helpful. And then again, putting together the processes and procedures. So that was really invaluable, having a procedure for paying bills, having that process. Okay, this is going to come on this day, and then making sure that I make the approval. So having these things set up, and we have a small team of us that was working together to ensure that the process went according to plan. And then just being, I think the most critical component though was making sure we had that constant communication. And communication is key to making sure we got to move forward, and then bringing the board along, making sure that they understood, here's what the real issues are. What you've been told in the past was not necessarily true, but here's where we are right now, and what we're trying to work through, and where we're going to get. So even though we had the challenges, we were still able to look at some solutions for those challenges, and realizing that, okay, it's not all doom and gloom. There is a bright light at the end of that tunnel. And I think we've overcome a lot of hurdles. But again, that communication, I can't say enough, has been helpful, along with putting together some processes and procedures.
Okay, good. Is there anything else, just like regarding accounting services, you want to tell other nonprofits? Or not other nonprofit CEOs, like, I know we talk about the importance, but any tips, advice for them?
Yeah, and I would definitely say do your research, do homework on your own too. I think another area that was helpful and that you were able to provide were just some videos and some training tips that we utilized here at Starfish, not just for me, but also for the board. You were able to record and provide some definitions for our board of directors as well. So I do think there is so much value in constantly learning. Although I knew, some things about finances, I am not an accountant. I did not go to school for accounting. I have a master's degree, but I do not call myself an accounting professional. So I needed to learn some things on my own as well and understand some things on my own so that I could, we could constantly build on what we had here. And I needed to have an understanding of it because at the end of the day, I'm the one answering as the leader. Everything rises and falls on the leader. So being able to make sure that I am aware and have the accountability that I need to have to ensure that the organization is moving in the right direction, for
Good, good,
sure.
good. Yep. So you know what? Lastly, let's talk about the 20th celebration that's coming up. So if you can give us more details and how we can support.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So Starfish is celebrating 20 years of mentoring youth in Marion County in the Indianapolis area. And so we are excited about the class of 2023. Our senior celebration will be held on Thursday, May 18th at the Ivy Tech Conference Center. And it's going to be from 6 to 8 p.m. And we're excited to celebrate those young people who are going to be graduating from high school, but also graduating and completing the program, the Starfish Initiative program, and working with a mentor. And we're just going to recognize them for their efforts, but also raise up 20 years of Starfish Initiative doing this great work in the community. So we would love to have you and love to have people to come support these young people in their hard work, because they are our leaders that are going to be investing in their futures and going on to post-secondary education opportunities. And then we want to mold them and shape them that they come back to Starfish Initiative, come back to Indianapolis and pour into the community the great things that were poured into them. So, just paying it forward. But we also just want to make sure that we celebrate and let them know that they have a support system, a community that cares so much about them and the work that they're doing. So, so again, we're celebrating 20 years of youth mentoring in the Indianapolis area and excited about that work. If you are interested in learning more, visit our website at starfishinitiative.org, and we'll be happy to see you come out on May 18th.
Okay, good. And can you also tell us about sponsorships if you're still looking for sponsorships?
Yes, we are looking for sponsorships. So we do have sponsors for our 20th year celebration. We have a variety of packages that you can reach out to me to get more information on. We have a Bright Star level, and that's at $5,000, and we have a Shining Star level at $2,500, and a Rising Star sponsorship at $2,500, and then a Shining Star sponsorship at $15,000. So if you're interested in learning more how to support our organization and its mission, please reach out to me at Crystal, CRYSTAL, at starfishinitiative.org. Or again, you can find out more information on our website. That's starfishinitiative.org.
Good, good. And I do want to plug Starfish. So, Crystal, tell us the graduation rate for Starfish scholars.
Yes, so we are toting a 98% graduation rate for Starfish Initiative scholars that complete the program and graduate from high school. So we are pretty excited and happy to make sure that we share that information because our scholars are outpacing the 21st century scholars, because they have that support of not only us at Starfish Initiative, but the support of a mentor who is encouraging them, inspiring them, and preparing them to move on to a post-secondary education opportunity. So yes, so we're excited to tell that number.
Yeah, I had to plug that. I really
Thank
did,
you,
because we
Linda.
hear all of the things that are going on with high school graduation and dropout, rate. But I wanted to plug Starfish because I believe there's no other organization in the state of Indiana that can tout that. So
Thank you so much.
no problem. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you follow Starfish, you support As you can see, I'm so excited. I enjoy working with Starfish, not just because I was a 21st century, but the staff, Crystal, the board, they are a great group of people who have a heart for helping people, really helping these students. And I'll tell you, it's great just to see them in action. So please support them and follow them on social media. So once again, thank you, and we will see you next time.
All right. Thank you, Linda.